yes, of course, what happened was tragic, but Secretary Clinton was not in any way at fault. And what you have here with his emails is basically a witch hunt. And you know, Congressman Gowdy, who is leading this, is very intentionally trying to manipulate this witch hunt to play politics. That's unfortunate, and it's one of the reasons that Congress has a 19% approval rating.
All right, Julian Castro, the man many think will be the VP on the ticket with Hillary. Joining us now is Dick Morris, political strategist, Newsmax contributor, author, of course, of Power Grab, Obama's Dangerous Plan for a One-Party Nation. Dick, welcome. There's so much to talk about. Let's focus on this for a second. And you know, you wrote us a great piece, as other Dems emerge, Hillary will crash. Well, Bernie Sanders is one of those other Dems, and he says that Hillary's hustling isolates her from reality. Do you think that Bernie Sanders or maybe O'Malley, who's gonna give Hillary the problems that'll make her crash?
Well, I think that as more Democratic candidates emerge, and we know more about them, O'Malley's going to announce next week, the more Democrats who are accumulating negative thinking about Hillary but not acting on it yet will say, hey, there are alternatives. We don't have to go with the Republicans. We can look at some of these Democratic alternatives who will look increasingly good as Hillary looks increasingly bad. I want to point out something about what Castro said. First of all, remember, he's the backup choice for HUD secretary. He was only appointed last year. And it's interesting to note that he is the only member of the Obama administration who has been out front in public defending Hillary on the email thing or the speaking fees or any of that stuff. You don't hear a word out of Secretary of State Kerry, the holder of the current holder of that office, or Holder, or the new AG, or Biden, or Obama. There's total silence, and it's interesting, his statement, because he's the only one saying a peep, and what's he, about the 14th ranking member of the cabinet?
Right.
And it shows that Obama is not invested heavily in Hillary. He's going to let her sink or swim on her own.
But Dick, who do you think besides Sanders, O'Malley, I mean, who do you think else might also enter the Democratic race on that side there?
Well, you have four pretty good candidates. Sanders, who is the ultimate extreme left for those who are into litmus tests. Webb, who is a decorated combat veteran, the former Undersecretary of Defense and Secretary of the Navy, appointed above all people by Ronald Reagan, and a strong liberal from Virginia, a key swing state. You have Link Chafee, who is senator from Rhode Island, and you have O'Malley, who is the governor of Maryland. I think that when the debates start in late August or early September, and Hillary has to defend herself, not against pro-life, anti-same-sex marriage, pro-gun Republicans, but instead Democrats who are ideologically in sync with the Democratic primary electorate. And when they hear those people criticizing Hillary, I think it'll make a big difference. Trey Gowdy can knock on Hillary all day long, and he's not going to persuade any Democratic primary voters. Some independents, but not Democratic voters. But when you start getting other well-established former governors and senators coming out and echoing that line, I think it's going to make a big difference in Hillary's ratings.
All right. I know you also wrote about the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Pact, and you say that this trade bill, which of course has been rescued by Republicans for Obama in the Senate, has nothing to do with trade.
Yeah, let's get that straight. This is not a trade pact. In the days before the World Trade Organization, you needed trade agreements because tariff barriers were very high. Now they can't be higher than 3% under World Trade Organization rules. And of the about $750 billion of exports the U.S. has to the 12 countries it's signing the treaty with, 75% of it is to Canada or Mexico, which are covered by the NAFTA free trade agreement. The rest, about 10%, is Japan, and the rest are tiny little shares for each of these other countries. So this has nothing to do with trade. NAFTA accomplished 3/4 of what this treaty would do in trade. What it's about is the surrender of sovereignty. Does a state legislature in some liberal state ban genetically modified foods or require it to be labeled? Or under this deal, they could sue and stop that? Do the conservatives want to reject a climate change treaty? Under this treaty's environmental provisions, the other signatories could sue and make the United States.
Well, Dick, why on earth? And we don't have a lot of time.
Is there a problem with immigration from Mexico?
Right.
Will this treaty bars that?
What's the rationale for
the reason? For these Republicans.
Yeah. Yeah, go
they're
ahead.
paid by the special interests who are their campaign funders, who want to be able to sue under this treaty. They want to be able to bypass the Congress and the legislature, sometimes on the left, sometimes on the right, but above all in their own profit and their own self-interest. And this is the dividing line between the big business Republicans like McConnell and the grassroots of the people Republicans that are opposing this treaty.
All right, Dick, great to talk to you, sir. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All
right, and be sure to get your copy, folks, of Dick Morris's best-selling book, Power Grab, by visiting powergrab411.com. That's powergrab411.com. Up next, we'll talk about this and much, much more with the Malzberg panel. And it's going to be very interesting because I do want to talk about Hillary, and I do want to talk about TPP. I also want to talk about what I discussed at the beginning of the show, and that's the Democrat Party's outrageous tweets regarding Memorial Day. So all that is straight ahead right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Don't go away.